All right. We can start, I think, before we're still having lunch, but they will join. Otherwise, we'll be. Yeah.
Sure,
So,
Prabhat.
sure.
Please go ahead.
Please go ahead. Thank you for joining, everyone. Um, we're starting something out of the what you have been spending time with the data queries, everything. This is we are in a different session right now. It is more on the Microsoft automation, company employee onboarding for your organization or wherever you're going. Talking about how and what challenges we have in the hybrid, and we're highlighting those challenges and how we're mitigating those challenges by our automation software. So my cards are here. If you guys want the cards, you can come and pick up. We may have some questions in between, and I might throw something to you to answer, or you may ask some questions. We like to be interactive so that you know what maybe you are here and not sleeping. Right? So myself, Prabhat, and I have Inder on the side, and I have someone else from my team who's helping me as well because I cannot log in to that server from this network. All right. Thank you for the sponsors. I hope you guys have enjoyed the conference so far, had a good lunch. Subway, most healthy. After COVID, what we have learned, we have to be healthy in every aspect. Focus on health, immunity, and everything. All right, thank you for all the sponsors. Yeah, I think you're gonna get some books or some maybe surface or something. I don't know. In the FL later. And thank you for the university to give us such a nice place to host our session. Obviously, thank you for the community so that we could do it together. You know, some of the speakers flew from London.
Wow.
Yeah, Britain. So, thanks to them. I live in LA, so this is myself. I've been MVP, blogger, speaker, husband, family is now. So, all right. Professional side, over 20 years of experience. Work with all ID giants, Microsoft, Accenture, HP, name it. Dell, not Google. Sorry, that's not Microsoft side. So that's the only one I think I missed so far. But I've been being hit by Google partnership all the time, every day. I'm getting the hit. All right, I'm owning or being CTO for Golden Pie Consulting. We are based in Los Angeles. That's my ID company. Also, I own LAX City Foundation. We also host our user group sessions for Azure or Exchange in Microsoft Office. We used to be before COVID, of course, because COVID we stopped everything. My LinkedIn and social Twitter. Universal blood donor, born with Microsoft date, so definitely working Microsoft, born on that day. And being Microsoft MCP, Microsoft certified since 1998, 24 years. Didn't realize that. Moving on, speak on remote, I have Indrajit. Indrajit?
Hi everyone. I have been with Microsoft as an MVP. I've twice been an MVP. I've been a blogger. I have my own website. I am a speaker and an author. Again, a father and a husband, just like Prabhat. Have about 15 to 17 years of experience throughout Microsoft products. I started working very early. I'm working as a cloud architect at Goldenfy Consulting, and here are my credentials, my email address, my LinkedIn, and my Twitter ID.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Obviously, my company is paying me for my trip to here. Well, I live in LA, but any expense, and that's why I put my company here always. That's my session sponsor, is my company. We're a Gold partner, ASG partner, government reseller. We sell to DoD, we sell to BCCI. We are supplier from Microsoft, so we supply use the funding from Microsoft for profit, for the business of any partner, or the customer. Reseller for Surface and everything. Offices are in US, Canada, India, websites, and the hashtag and everything. All right, next, SQL events are coming up. If you like SQL, you love this event, you may want to go for more. There are different locations. Watch out, this is in Nepal, next to India, 24 hours travel. But maybe, this is in person, so maybe you cannot do it. But if you had a plan to visit some Asian country, maybe Nepal, Himalayas, the right spot to go. Hit the two birds with one eye, right? One arrow. Right? So go Nepal, go Himalayas, enjoy. Also one in Denver and one in Orlando. Where does I want to go, right? Right, today's session is on Microsoft 365 automation for company employee onboarding. It means that it's onboarding and offboarding, everything we want to cover. Today's agenda, why Neo? So we build our application named Neo. So the question is why Neo? Right, that's want to cover that. Then we have Power UI built on it for that. And what is the ultimate solution? What are we solving? How are we solving? Overview, feature, system requirement, life cycle, and demo. All right, quickly jumping on to why Neo. Okay, today's infrastructure, if you are part of any infrastructure, probably you know. In any infrastructure, you have a hiring system. You go, and that means a software. Then you have an ERP system where you record the purchase, sale, and all things for the company's benefit, profits, loss, capture all accounting there. Then approval system. Okay, I have a budget. Who's going to approve? If there's no budget, there's no approval. How are we going to manage? It's more of we're talking about back end life cycle of a company, right? Once these things are taken care of, probably for IT, you get an Excel file to create a user. It was okay till maybe 2010 when cloud was not so much. Okay. And then later Microsoft started Office 365. Everyone started talking about cloud, doing the two forest connectivity and making it one, so that can work together in a cloud and offload your office challenges of maintaining it. Electricity, AC, hardware, and space, and making the space fireproof, making the space secure with a fingerprint or face ID scanners. So all that is gone. Now you have added the hybrid portion. For IT and other staff, probably you have added more complexity, because then you have to add a manually remove or add mailbox, or manually add a license or remove license, and employees join or leave, and you have to maybe convert the mailbox. All that is now going to be remote. So more on the hybrid side, it's more challenging. It causes many human errors and can be human dependency, right? You may have one administrator who's managing the licenses. If he leaves for a break, for lunch, or dinner, or a vacation, so depending on that person. Licenses, not many people don't assign the responsibility to many people, because that can be messy. So you assign one administrator, he's on vacation, you are depending on him. And all of a sudden you need to join 15 people. You don't know what to do, and you're stuck. So we're trying to think of all those challenges we have seen in an infrastructure. Delay due to the priorities. You have another outage. Creating a new user is not a priority, never. Even decommissioning a new or old user is not a priority in any organization for an IT administrator. IT administrator's priority is all the IT services are up, all the servers are up. And user level is the last priority. Sometimes it could be important that some highly privileged user is leaving the organization and the organization wants it to be turned off right away. All those can be delayed and can cause different challenges or harms. And especially on the Friday and even leaving, it's always a tricky situation. So we come up with a solution, but before we dive up to the solution, I want to show that we come up with our Power UI. So we build a UI which lives on Microsoft SharePoint Online. Why we build this is because today Microsoft offers Power Apps. And Power Apps will have multiple flows in the back end. Right? And then you have more things come up that you add everything on the SharePoint. But if any changes happen today, everything breaks. Then you have to change whole code, everything. And then if you want some changes in the UI, user interface, then you have to open a Microsoft ticket or record a Microsoft user voice and wait for the day when Microsoft will change the UI for whole world. So we said, no, that's not the right approach. And Microsoft started charging for Power Apps and Flow and everything now, which was free earlier. So we built our own UI, which is deploying on the SharePoint Online. No cost, almost, because everyone has SharePoint Online license. At least the administrators. You don't need to have it for the end users. So actually, I would say no cost, customizable, fast access, fast changes by our UI, which can be used for different products as well. But that's for this product, for this solution, we are using that. Now, ultimate solution. We need to understand what are the problems we had or have, which we are resolving in this solution. So we build a user interface. How we will create a user. Today, administrator has to log into VPN or log into the server RDP from the office. If he's at home working, they have to log into VPN. We build an interface. They don't have to do all of that. They go to SharePoint Online, which they normally log in for mailbox access. They just go to SharePoint Online. They don't have to worry about the servers and manage everything from there. That interface allows them to do on and off boarding, manage users. After they onboard, they can manage edit changes, maybe a user moving from marketing to sales or another account, another department, that can be updated there, and everything will be updated accordingly in the system afterwards. The first thing we try to solve that, then we said, okay, then approve changes has to be there. So with this user interface, these things can be done. You can approve changes, accept user, approve user, check user status, and review user properties. If something is wrong, you can also edit and send for other modification. Once this portion is done for the users, then we move to the approval system. That means, like now in an organization where we're talking about, there could be some approvals where you have to approve the budget, you have to approve the user in that department. All right, that maybe the department wants to have a chair available, or the desk available, or internet available, or I don't know, maybe some other ports available for different things, or maybe they have to buy some licenses. All that they will review and approve. That's why we put the approval system as well. That eliminates some need of some ERP system or another HR system, or the IT may have another system. And even the inventory can be added here. We are also giving a band level. So if you have a band level, most likely if you are in the top band, the management, right, they get a small laptops, they get a wireless headsets, they get a wireless mouse, okay, higher management, right? So based on the band level, you can always define what hardware they get. We have given that already. So in one app, create the user, go to the approval. Now user has approved. What next? For IT, you will export it Excel? No, no more. Windows Active Directory, it will do everything. You create a user, create a group membership, and it will update any other attributes needs to be updated for any other significant purpose for other softwares to use or anything. Key part is group membership. If you guys use different softwares, everything works on the group membership. You're part of this group, you get the write access. You're part of other group, you have a read access. You're part of maybe an admin group, then you have admin access. So as far as you have taken the group membership, that's taken care. of your permissions in that software for your department, organization, whatever. That's key. Then, if you have migrated to Microsoft 365 Hybrid, this is additional portion we are covering, that we will synchronize the user to Microsoft Azure Active Directory and create a mailbox there. Creating mailbox is just not the ending of it. Tomorrow, that user leaves. Organization may have a choice. They want to remove the mailbox, or they might want to convert a mailbox to shared mailbox. We are covering other options too. If they want to remove mailbox, they will mark here and it will be automatically removed. Same way, if a user joins, they get a license and the license gets removed. Now, if you know Microsoft 365, how it works, in the future, what we're trying to work on is to adding a license as well. So if an organization has gone out of licenses, we will be working on bringing an additional license based on the license selected here. It will be adding another license. That's a future thing. I wanted to give you the heads up on that. Any questions so far?
Is G5 a product of your company or is it part of the
G5 is the company, Neo is the product.
product? And these are the product capability.
Yeah, these are the, I was saying, yeah, this is product capability explaining that how we're solving the big problem of big disconnect. And in almost every organization we have seen this as a big disconnect. There's no software available which can do everything together because you cannot do everything on a software as a service. So this is not a software as a service. This is traditional, one customer, one software deployed in their environment. Highly secure in terms of whatever the current security level customer has. We're not changing anything in that manner. All right. If no other question, we can move forward. Lily, do you want to carry forward or should I continue?
Yes, Prabhat, thank you. I'll take it over from here. So, thanks everyone, this is Indrajit. So we would be talking about the overview, a bit of overview of Neo. So the first character over here is human resource. Resource are actors who are responsible for making sure that they manage employee details. The details such as their salary details, their name, their date of birth, etc. etc. So what happens is the new application will give you a panel, give you a console, admin page where you can really manage all the employee details. Now we have put in some details, but if you need some of them to be removed or to be added, you can definitely go about that. So it's customizable. You can let us know what you need and we can manage removing and adding those fields. The second is about management approval. We have a multi-level approval system, which means that not just one person approves it, but there has to be two people who are approving it as part of our demo. If you need more than two people to be performing approval action, that can also be achieved. And it has to go as part of customization to the tool. And the third is information or the IT department. Over here, responsibility of IT team is not much. They will just make sure that the Active Directory users are really created, the group management is properly done, the licensing is properly done, and the license assignment and mailbox creation is done or not. That is only if they have any doubt or they have any second or they want to validate it. Otherwise, everything that is there as part of the IT is not supposed to be done by anyone. There are PowerShell scripts that are running in the background, which will be responsible to make those actions. Now let's talk about some more core features about it. In terms of security, 100% data is with the customer, which means that we would be deploying the package in your environment and in your Office 365 environment, and only you and your team would have access to that environment. We as an G5 would not have access to it. Users, we would be using your existing security and compliances, which means if you have made any multi-factor authentication, or if you have any other compliance settings in your organization, that will automatically apply to the SharePoint site, the Neo software suite that we have created. Then we can schedule to run the script in a day or night, or we can schedule it to run every hour. That's also something which can be done. We have record management and audit trails, which means that any changes that gets done into the environment, we can let you know who made those changes, when was those changes made, and what were those changes that were done. Let's talk about automation. We have multi-level approval that we discussed. We have designation-based multi-level approval. I'll show this on why we are saying designation-based, which means that, for example, if a user leaves the organization and he is the CTO of the organization, and the new CTO onboards, it is not the person who would be getting an access for performing approval. It is the designation of the individual which will be performing the approval. We'll show that in detail. You can perform an onboarding of a user, or you can perform an offboarding of the user using the same application. You can create, you can modify, disable a user from the same application, from the same software suite. You can assign, modify, remove group membership from the same console. You can modify user custom properties, departments, and other attributes. These are custom attributes or default Office Active Directory attributes that can be changed from a console and which will take impact directly on the Active Directory, and so on, Azure Active Directory as well. Now, integrations, we are able to integrate with any ERP solution, provided they are providing APIs. And if we have API access, we can definitely integrate with any application, any ERP application, and any other software employment, any employee software that are there in the organizations. Windows Active Directory integration is already there. Office M365 licensing agent is there. SharePoint Online Sites List is our core backend of the system, where we have integrated. Azure Active Directory is where we have again integrated. So any changes done in system gets replicated to Windows Active Directory, and it will further get replicated to Azure Active Directory as well. Customizable, we have reduced manual effort, and the delays that gets done throughout approval process, and manually creating user. There is a lot of human error that comes in, which gets eliminated. And we have role-based access management in the system. We'll talk about role-based access management as part of our demo shortly. And the whole application can be rebranded and customized as per individual customers' requirements, which means that right now you would see that we have branding of G5, Golden 5, but if you need your own branding to be there as XYZ company, definitely that can be done, and that can be further customized as per your own requirements. Pravat, next. Yep.
Thanks. I'll take the next slide. And quickly on the system requirements. You asked the questions. So here you go. So why is fine. System requirements. It's very simple. We have two portions of it: G5 Power UI and the PowerShell agent. In the Power UI, it lives on SharePoint Online. Just need the SharePoint Online Plan 1 license. Tester service accounts. Then PowerShell agent just need a member server where we can execute the PowerShells. We can use an existing server, but if there's no other server where it can be used, then we can use a member server with a minimum requirement, which could be a workstation lying on the side where you don't even bother to see. Or you may have Azure AD Connect running today. That server can be used. That's the best contender today to be used. Quickly on the life cycle, We start with onboarding, goes to management approval, goes to Windows 8, next creates a Windows 8 user, or remove that, or then next create Microsoft mailbox and add the license. And the reverse process, if you offboard the user, management approval, Active Directory user disabling, not deleting, maybe you need it for any inquiry later, investigation. Mailbox options are there, delete the mailbox or convert it to the shared mailbox and get the license back for the new user, right? Don't want to reinvest. All right, I think we're at the stage to do the demo, and again, I'll invite, I can start a little bit here, but I think more of the things will go to Indrajit. So,
Yes, I'll start with the demo. Prabhat, everyone, can you see my screen? Can I get some notes?
I'm gonna bring it up. Sorry.
Can I get some confirmation if everyone is able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Prabhat. Okay, so this is how Neo looks like. We have options on the left hand side, which is all employees, active employees, and pending approvals. All employees is where we are able to see all employees, whether regardless whether they are in pending status or whatever, or they are newly created or anything else. Then we have active employees. These are employees which are currently active in the organization. There are no approvals or anything else pending for these users. And pending approvals is a section where there are some actions which are pending for the employees, whether it's an action which is pending for a new onboarding or whether it's for a modification in their properties. So on a very high level, this is the three sections. There's another settings sections which is settings. Settings will be only available to IT admins or new admins, we can say, who will be able to perform a couple of admin related functions. Then we have a search. So if I want to search for a particular user, I can just look for that user and I would be able to see the user details. I have an option which is new employee. This new employee option is only and only available with me as an HR admin. There are three roles that we have defined in this demo. The first is an HR admin, which is me. The second is a first level approver and an IT admin, which is Prabhat. The second is a third level admin or the final admin, which is Ajit, who would be performing that action. So let me just try to create a new user, and the name of the user would be Jeff Depp, and I'll give him a username as now if I select a user which is already existing in our organization, I will get a message that this user already exists, and this is where we can see at the background as MA01 login ID already exists. So I have to make sure every time I create a user, this is querying the current active directory, and if a user already exists in the active directory, it will not allow me to create the same user. So I create JT001 and I give him some salary. Okay, see this user is also available, JT001, so I'll give 002 and I'll put in some salary amount. I'll put in a joining date of that individual, let it be 26. And this is the band level which Prabhat has been talking about, where we can mention what kind of band level this individual is joining. And whatever the band level may be, then based on that, you would be getting a wireless device or the wired device and other things. Now, we can make him whether he's joining permanent or contract. We have a couple of Active Directory groups that we can make him part of. He would be part of one of the either departments, which is IT, sales, marketing, finance, and all. So we'll leave it to IT. We have mailbox status as enabled, and we have mailbox type as user. We can make him shared. So if, for example, we disable the same user in future, we can make sure that he becomes a shared user and his mailbox can be accessed separately. Now I click save and I go back to all employees and we are able to see this Jeff Tab user is already created, and this is now going for first level approval, which is currently with Prabhat. I'll stop sharing and I'll let him share the screen so I can talk about the other options which we have only with him. Prabhat, please share the screen.
Sure. You know?
So Prabhat, being the first level approver, would be able to see an option to approve the user I created. He already got an email as well, which state that a new user has been created in the organization and he has to perform an approval action. And if he wants, he can also perform an edit action, which means that he can modify some of the properties of that individual user and he can take an action. Now, if you can see, there's an email that says request for employee. Jeff Pepper is waiting for approval, and there's a link to approve it. So we can click on the link and perform the
This
approval
one it
action.
just came. If you guys saw, this email just came when Indrajit created this. So it's not was not sitting it from a while. Just to inform. Um,
Yes. Now on the left hand side we have settings. This option Prabhat is getting only and only because he is also a new admin in the application. Now, he being a new admin, he would be getting a setting option. Please go
so
to
the IT
settings, Prabhat.
admin, right? In the
IT admin, yes.
yeah, not the new admin. And I'm missing the new employee button here, so I cannot add a new employee. So this is what we're showing here is role-based access. So I don't have a role to create a new employee, but I have a role to manage the IT side of settings. If I go to settings, here are the approvers based on the designation. So for IT department, IT VP is the approver, not a person, okay? Same thing for sales, sales VP, and so on. So we gave it on a designation basis. Why? Because we don't want this to be impacted by anyone leaving or joining. As far as the organization takes care of their designation, we are good. They just have to, one IT VP left, assign the same designation to the new IT VP, and new IT VP will be automatically the approver for the IT request in the system. This is the new world of automation. That's what we want, right? That less effort, more earnings, right? Going back to the main scene, on the left-hand side, you can see the pending and active approvals are there. These are the actually pending approvals and active employees are there. So I can also filter by pending approvals and just approve them, and then they will start showing up to the other side. There we go.
Okay, so Prabhat will go towards the right, and now when you go towards the right, you will be able to perform the action of approving this user.
Trying to do right.
You have to go to the bottom and do it, Prabhat. Bottom of the screen, yeah, there is right. So over here there's an action option and there's an edit button. You can edit some properties if needed, but I will just go ahead and approve this user for now.
And we have also given the comment. Many times it's important to know the comment, especially if I reject for some reason. Or for example, I'm the IT VP right now, so I'm good, I have everything. Or if it goes to finance and finance see, oh, you added an extra zero to the salary. Where I'm gonna get this $1 million salary? Someone's supposed to get 100,000, and you added extra zero. They will immediately reject and say, rejected, you have added extra zero. And that comment goes to the human resource. They read that comment, they come back and adjust, resend it for the approval. All good. From IT. So now,
Yeah, once approved by Prabhat, the second level approver is one of our colleague who would be performing this action and who would be doing this action from his side. So after like 5 seconds, I should Prabhat, can you please refresh your screen? And you'll be able to see that both the approvals are done. And now that approvals are done, we see an action or status which says all approved, but the status is still red and active. When it says red, red means there's some action which is yet to be done. and this action is the PowerShell script which needs to be executed in background. So, Prabhat, Harish, can you please share your screen so we can talk about the PowerShell screens? So here we are able to see the two PowerShell screens on the left-hand side. The first is the task scheduler, which is user onboard, offboard, and then the second is the licensing one. So Harish, can you please run this first script, which is user onboard, offboard?
So in the
Okay.
real-time scenario, this is, you don't have to do it. This is already scheduled, and then another sync is scheduled, another schedule is scheduled. We are just doing it because it's not a real-time scenario, and we cannot wait for that time to come, right? And it may not be able to accurately time it out, and that's why it has to run, right? That's the thing. That's why we are running it manually. Could you click the refresh, Harish? So it has to stop, and now the next section is to sync this change to Azure AD. But before we change it, we can check the user creation. Harish, can you show us the Active Directory user computers? And give it a refresh. See, Jeff was not here earlier, he just got created at 1:55:52. So this is what the real demo is happening, so just got created. Right, now, you can minimize we can double click on it and review some properties of the user, actually. You will see first name, last name, display name, email ID has come. Go to the accounts. You can see the UPN and the login name has come. Then go to the member off. You see that we gave the two groups assignment. We assigned the groups. So from the provisioning point of view, this user is most likely is done. You know, and then we get some more attributes from in the attribute editor as well. So at this point, we can cancel this and just go to the Azure AD Sync we can run.
What about with the password?
Yeah, I was gonna come on it. So let him finish this demo. I'll talk about password after. So now we are syncing the user. Meanwhile, we're syncing the user. We can go back to the task scheduler and run other task scheduler to create a remote mailbox and assign the license. It'll take like 12, 13 seconds. It's completed. So what I want to show you here as well, that these tasks are taking few seconds to create a user. It means it's pulling the query from SharePoint Online, creating the user, adding group membership, creating that, creating the password, and sending an update email to the creator that this user has been created, and sending a password. That took like 23, 25 seconds. And then the second one took like 15 seconds to create a remote mailbox and licensing. The speed is so fast. Depends on the number of changes you will have. It may vary a little bit, but as of now, what we have done is we have done only one user. One user, this is very fast, and this will be a repeated task in every organization for 1 hour to 2 hours, 3 hours, right? So, can you, Harish, do the data sync again? The first one finished, right? First data sync finished, is running again, so that mailbox creation can happen. And then we will see on the Azure AD and Microsoft Action Online side, the user and mailbox has been created. The user has been created. but it is unlicensed. This is the second thing which we are running, and the moment that synchronization happens, it will assign the license. Also on the Exchange Online, it will give the mailbox. So I can show that from my screen or phone. All right, thanks, Harish. I'll start sharing my screen.
No problem, brother. Thank you.
You can stop sharing, or I can share.
So as part of Prabhat might be able to see in Office 365 that the user got created and the license got assigned. And at my end, I have got a confirmation. I'll just share that screen as well. I've got a confirmation that the user Jeff tab has been created and has been successfully created. So as an HR, I've got a confirmation for that as well. So Prabhat would be able to share more details upon what details as an IT admin, because he's an IT admin, he gets the username, he gets a password and other details as well, and that can be configured in the background.
Yeah, I'm just zooming in so that I can zooming out, show the screen console. And here's the mailbox. Here you go. Here's the Jeff's mailbox. Just for quick. 202. We had 203 maybe, or 202 just now, 2 seconds back. So that's completed the whole automation process for the user. If required, it can be modified that way. Right now, we have configured one email ID for password, receiving the password. So I am receiving the password in this case because my email ID is configured. Overall, in a bigger scenario in your organization, you can configure a generic ID, a shared mailbox, where you're sending the password. However, for end user, what you want to set up is self-service password reset, which is part of Azure AD, and give them a link. So in a visual picture of a realistic deployment, your HR will have human resource will have a drafted email that go to this link, reset your password. When this portion is completed, it can trigger that email automatically that you go to this link, reset a password, and here are your other application links which you should have access now, and they will have to just go and log in. So after they reset the password, we can just use that. Did I answer the question? Or
Yeah, it's gonna be the same password for the domain and for the.
yeah, it will be.
But did you reset the password? Because you're gonna get the link.
So they will receive a link for self-service password reset, and they will go to the Microsoft portal, reset the password. That password will synchronize to Azure AD and Windows AD. So that's part of the Azure AD Connect configuration, which will have the customer do that. So that's one of the we're trying to do it flawless, right? So that there's no IT help desk requirement in the middle. You create a new user today, and you create their password. So help desk knows this guy's password, right? So if this guy is a financial controller, for example, his password is at risk. Anything he opens the application, that help desk guy who reset it has the access to, and can be questioned. Maybe this guy never does anything, and if it's part of shared mailbox, someone else gets the access to the shared mailbox and leaks the password and do some things. Right now, you might have heard about all kind of crimes that emails are coming asking, hey, your invoice number, this is due pending for $1 million to the financial controller, and it's coming from, with approval, it's coming from the CEO that, hey, just pay this guy. And it's actually a fraud. Whereas probably sometimes the financial controller knows that CEO is traveling in the cruise and there's no way he can connect at this point. Or they know that he's in the meeting, or they know this payment was already made. So they identify. But have you heard someone really paid? I have heard. This kind of fraud has got success. Some of them already paid some dollars, and it was a big amount, and there was no way to revert back. Or they had to involve different things to figure out how to get the money back. So we are going flawless, like we don't want anyone to access even the password. So we can assign an ID or don't assign an ID just to create the user password. Don't assign a password to give the password to anyone. That's what we're holding up right now, and just to show where the password is going. And we have not configured password. This is a random password, so it's just creating a random password. It's not a common. I can show the previous password. It was created for this user. It's different, see, and so on. So at this point, I think we can go back to our slide deck and see what we have left with. Now, we're left with a couple of things. New timeline. How did we start? How did we move forward? It started with a very small request and requirement. We do a lot of consulting work, migrations to Microsoft 365, Azure, and everything. So we started with this small request where customer was like, okay, can you build something which can automate some process for the human resource, for approval and everything, and the users? Right. Yeah, we can with our Power Apps and Flow. But then we also discovered some issues and challenges. So then we come up to our own design. Then okay, we discussed the design in December. We thought it was going to be very fast in a month or so. But no, the whole process took so long. We had our internal beta release in April. Then we had the pre-launch in May. And then a final launch on May 16th. And it's available for sale since then, since May 18th. Value proposition, wanted to put it forward. I hope you guys already got this, but I wanted to always present this portion that tells how you calculate that cost saving. When you're buying something and going to new automation, you have to also justify that I'm covering some things, but I'm also giving you relaxation somewhere, right? So we think, or we observe for a mid-sized company, maybe 400, 500 user, or 300 user, depends on the IT infrastructure changes they have, user modifications, everything. We assume they must be investing at least 10,000 or more in all these things. Maybe IT administration, one help desk or two help desk guy, human resource, office admins and all that. Then other administrative resources who may be looking for the desk, chair, fire protection, training, and all that. Then they might have to allocate a software for that to update it, or user A has come and he is joining the marketing team and he is going to be sitting there, and so he is going to be allocating a desk there for them. So we all can be merged into one software which we are building. So that's why I was saying these all can be in one location. Don't need another extra software, reducing the effort. Software licensing cost saving, effort saving, licensing cost saving, any delay and escalation saving. Everything happens, it has to be measured in time, and if you're measuring in time, it also has a cost. You drove to here, you lost 45 minutes, 1 hour, right? That has a cost if you in the real world scenario, because if you lose 1 hour in the office, you are still getting paid. Hourly, company is paying you. 1 hour has a cost. So you are not just traveling for free, it's part of a cost. So overall, this is our estimate. The company will be saving this much. Customization options. So we have a lot of customization options here. It's a full suite, is customizable. We have opened it for every organization because it cannot be a limited suite or software because every organization is different. They might be using SAP or other SharePoint list or another Oracle NetSuite or another software from where they're already provisioning the users. So what we are saying, okay, if you're using that, that's fine. We can pull the data from your software to our suite and then we can continue to use it. So that fully automation can be adopted, right? Provisioning, deprovisioning can be directly go to Azure AD. If you are a cloud-only customer, you don't have a Windows Active Directory, that can move to Azure AD. Any custom attributes which you have not seen can be added more. What we add in the UI could be converted to different Active Directory attributes as well. That's on the PowerShell side, we can convert that. If you don't want to use our UI and just want to provide the CSV file, so what we can do is you can drop the CSV file and naming context, and from that folder we can execute the PowerShell to configure your user, mailbox, and license. We can also add the dashboard for reporting, for management, how much effort IT help desk or this software is doing. For that, it can present directly on the dashboard. And additional customization options. When we say additional customization options, we can also configure another application in parallel for whole, I'm just giving an example, for whole hiring process. Like human resource publish a job and then they selected 5 users. 5 users interview scheduled, what happened in the interview, one final user passed and this is the salary. They managed there and we can pick up from that software. So we can also add that customization and we can pick up from there, that this is the final candidate, they have approved and assigned the salary. The last slide, maybe questions, and post questions, you can connect for more, and back to the questions. We can hold here for a couple of seconds. I got Bandar, Microsoft Teams. You got questions? Sorry.
Concerning the software license provisioning, is this strict? Are you referring strictly to M365, or let's say a employee have either like Microsoft, can you do something like based on role, entitlement? Let's say if you're a VP or someone in engineering, they have.
Yeah, we can customize that. So it's not limited to one license. If you are a frontline worker, you just may need E1 license, right? You don't need a E5. So we can do that. We can have multiple personas, and based on your configuration in the UI, we can assign that license. So we will have additional attributes. So if you belong to E1 license, so we'll give the E1 license there, and that will be assigned to.
And it does not have to be a Microsoft product.
Yeah, we build this everything around the Microsoft. So this is for Microsoft hybrid environments. If it is non-Microsoft 365, then we have to expand and see Google or how it's going to be there. But this one we built for hybrid. Here we gave the company's website link where we have the pricing. I'm not showing. If anyone interested, let me know, and we can discuss the pricing. But then link is here. Then wanted to.
What is the price for the base product?
$14,999. With the full 1 year support coverage. So anything you have issues with that, and we can more customize. And when we customize, we charge additional. But 15,999 is not a big deal if you're saving 120K.
And is it based on number of employees?
No, it's any size unlimited employees. That's fine. this slide shows our other connections. If you want to follow us on Twitter or Facebook, we have a forum we are running. Microsoft Technology Forum, we named it. So we are addressing or sharing a lot of things there. Then we also have a YouTube channel. Then we have a LinkedIn groups. And then we also have a meetup. So we're trying to reorganize the Azure and Exchange user group meetups. So if you're using meetup.com, you will find ourselves with these names, and we will see you guys in the another show, another place. And if you're staying back, next session is also by me and Ajit. So we'll see you in a while at 2:45 maybe. We finish early.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Do you have a
Thanks, everyone.
favorite process?